In some of the photographs from the Vietnam War, one can see U.S. soldiers holding M60 machine guns with strange modifications, parts of the weapon cut off. These images belong to units that fought in the Vietnamese jungle in the late 1960s. Today, we are going to talk about why some experienced U.S. soldiers and special forces cut down their M60s in Vietnam. So, in the late 1950s, the United States Army officially adopted the M60 machine gun, a weapon whose design was based on concepts from German machine guns of the Second World War. The M60 was created to standardize the U.S. arsenal and replace several weapons at once, taking the place of the BAR automatic rifle and the Browning M1919 machine gun as the infantry's primary support weapon. Its design emerged from the general-purpose machine gun (GPMG) doctrine, which sought to consolidate several roles into a single weapon, while using 7.62 by 51 mm NATO ammunition. Its first use in combat occurred at the beginning of the Vietnam War, when the first U.S. units began using it in the jungle in the early 1960s. It is worth clarifying that the M60 was used in different roles, both in the hands of infantry soldiers and mounted on helicopters, vehicles, and boats. As I said, with the appearance of these machine guns in Vietnam, some soldiers began cutting down their own M60. But why did they cut down their own M60? In reality, it was a modification of the weapon. It consisted of shortening the barrel and the handguard, removing the bipod, and many times also reducing or removing the stock. For the first time, this type of shortened M60 appeared in the hands of U.S. units during the Vietnam War. There were two reasons for this. First, it reduced the weapon's weight and improved maneuverability. The standard weapon weighed about 23 pounds, which is why soldiers called it the pig. In the heat and humidity of Vietnam, carrying it during long patrols quickly exhausted the gunner. But the weapon itself was not the worst part. The real hell was the ammunition. Each belt of 100 rounds of 7.62 weighed around 6 pounds, and a patrol carried at least 1,200 rounds, with it being common to carry between 2,000 and 4,000. Many engagements took place in dense jungle, tunnels, huts, and inside helicopters or boats, and the M60, at over 1 meter long, was cumbersome, snagged easily, and slowed reaction time. By shortening the weapon, it became lighter and more manageable, which reduced fatigue, improved mobility, and allowed for faster reactions in combat. However, experienced soldiers understood that shortening the M60 brought serious disadvantages. The most obvious was the enormous muzzle flash. With a shorter barrel, the powder did not burn completely and exited as a bright flame that gave away the position, momentarily blinded the gunner, and served as a perfect reference point for enemy fire, especially at night. It also increased recoil and made the weapon harder to control. By losing weight at the front and altering the weapon's balance, the cut-down M60 was more violent when firing, spread bursts more, and fatigued the gunner much more quickly. In ballistic terms, there was a clear loss of projectile velocity and energy, reducing effective range and impact power at medium and long distances, limiting the weapon's effectiveness to short ranges. Another serious problem was extreme overheating. The shorter barrel absorbed less heat and eroded much faster, drastically reducing its service life and increasing the risk of cook-offs or dangerous malfunctions after sustained bursts. Finally, by removing the bipod, the M60 lost its ability to provide stable support fire from fixed positions, and since it was a non-standard modification, the weapon fell outside logistical standards, making repairs and replacements more difficult. The second reason for shortening the M60 was its sound. The unmistakable sound of the M60 immediately gave away the position, and the gunner became an easy target. Mortars, RPGs, snipers, and automatic weapons concentrated their fire on the machine gunner. For this reason, U.S. Army doctrine required firing and moving immediately. Manuals of the period instructed M60 gunners to change position after each prolonged burst. Staying in one place was almost a death sentence. A detected machine gun had a high probability of being flanked or hit by indirect fire within a few minutes. The problem was that the standard M60 made such movement too slow. It was long, heavy, and cumbersome. Standing up, picking up the weapon, maneuvering with the bipod, and moving through dense vegetation took critical seconds. By shortening the M60, the gunner could move immediately after firing. The weapon snagged less, handled better, and allowed the gunner to roll, take cover, or escape enemy fire. The machine gunner was always the number one target. Snipers and observers looked for the M60 first. Therefore, every centimeter cut increased the chances of survival. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, don't forget to like it and subscribe. See you in the next video.